What is something school taught you which turned out to be false? That we had a permanent record. Pretty sure I've read somewhere that it is a thing, but it only has warnings about behavioral issues a student has, and that after high school it gets deleted. Take this with a salt shaker full of salt. I don't actually know what I'm talking about. Teacher here. This is correct. If you move, it gets mailed to your new school as securely as possible. I have handled some massive permanent records. That said, the size of the record says more about the parents than the child. The body cannot produce new nerve brain cells. Turns out neurogenesis is a very real phenomenon. By the way, I was taught that the body cannot make new nervous cells this year in my senior human anatomy class, long after neurogenesis was discovered. This confused me too when I had nerve damage and the doctor said the nerves would grow back over 3 months. These are the best years of your life. Dad, middle school sucks, I know. But when you get into high school it will get a lot better. Middle school me graduating, yeah. High school's gonna be awesome. High school me, this sucks. Dad, I know, but when you get into college it's going to get a lot better. I would love that. I always got MS, enjoy it, this is the best time of your life. HS, enjoy it, this is the best time of your life. Uni, enjoy it, this is the best time of your life. Right now, furloughed and yet to see a sign of unemployment. Don't worry, it always gets better. I'll admit though, the last one would be a great myth to indulge in. Just because you are popular doesn't mean you'll be successful. Since graduating college, it's been all about networks and who you know, who likes you. I've literally asked people how they got their job and they said they knew someone that pulled them in with no qualifications or experience. It's a tough pill to swallow. To be fair though, popular in high school doesn't necessarily translate well to business-type networking, so there's still some truth there, I think. Probably a strong positive correlation with popularity in high school and popularity in college, though, which leads to a job out of college. And it probably correlates with good social skills in general. Nutrition. When I started elementary school it was the 4 food groups, by high school it was the food pyramid, and by college it turned into my plate. You can't ever keep up and it constantly changed, so who knows what'll turn into next. The food pyramid one was specifically pushed by lobby groups for the grain industry. It's why the food pyramid had grains as the largest category, and now more reasonable recommendations have it listed in much smaller recommended portions. First it was the grain industry, then the meats and fat industry. Now though, we'll get it. The one in charge will be clean, fresh, and she's a sugar lobbyist. College professors would be more strict. Edit. Thank you fellow Redditors for my highest upvoted comment. Ironically, I might fail one of my classes because of the professor, but at least I have upvotes. Seriously. College was super laid back for me compared to high school in terms of interactions with the staff. One of my professors even transferred WoW server and raided with my guild for a bit. I pulled a solid B in that class, which isn't that bad considering I never studied for it. I was too busy playing WoW with the professor. My profs recommending the class to play Stellaris, Crusader Kings and Hoi 3. And then another professor straight up telling us to play AC3 and Unity for an exam. Meanwhile, the HS teacher telling me that playing games won't get me anywhere. That grades in elementary and middle school actually matter. I had a 45 in my 5th grade history class at one point, and I loved history. I just didn't like having to memorize the preamble to the Constitution and other pointless things my school made us do. I now read and study history on my own and know far more history than the average person. Same. I'm glad I spent a lot of my early years stressing about that doesn't fekn matter. Only parts of your tongue control the different tastes. Here's a The tongue map is easy enough to prove wrong at home. Place salt on the tip of your tongue. You'll taste salt. For reasons unknown, scientists never bothered to dispute this inconvenient truth. You won't have a calculator in your pocket. I had a cool Calculus 3 teacher who was the opposite. Every test was open book, because in the real world we would always have the integration tables to refer to. Once you hit Calc 3, like, sure, you need to know how be able to take an easy finite double integral, but in practice and on exams, it was just punch it into the TI-84. Any higher in math and calculators just don't help you, since it's either super theoretical proofs or Excel MATLAB. Hawaiians wanted to be a territory so they could join the U.S. and become a state, and were overjoyed when they achieved statehood. Isn't the story told during luau's about how awful it was that the Hawaiian queen was overthrown, and how upset everyone was that Hawaii had to be a state under the U.S. government instead of their own? You won't get anywhere in life without learning how to write in cursive. Every year in elementary school my teachers said, "You'll learn cursive next year, but I'll teach you a little bit now." That happened until high school, when the teacher was surprised that half the class couldn't read cursive. In GT, "You'll learn cursive next year, but I'll teach you a little bit now, not just cursive." Every year, it always seemed like the teacher was spouting off about, "You'll learn this next year," and next year the teacher was like, "You should have learned this last year, so we won't stay on it too long." Speaking about suicide drives people to commit suicide. Our school put a policy in place that disallowed any discussions surrounding suicide and mental health. Over the course of 3 years we lost 3 students and 2 teachers to suicide. I'm now studying psychology and work in community services. Speaking about suicide saves lives. As a nurse you're taught exactly the opposite. If you are afraid someone you love might be considering suicide, ask them. Talk about it. One teacher told me that men used to give birth. WHAT, she meant biological human males. For context, I was in 2nd grade. During a break I was reading something, and then just out of the blue, my teacher went up to me and said, "Did you know that men used to give birth? They were just like mommies." I think your teacher was a seahorse. College equals high-paying job. My husband has almost finished his cert in a trade program. I have 2 bachelor's and associates, and a master's. He made $3 per hour more than me in the before time. I feel this so hard that I can be whatever I want when I grow up. Sad face. I'm still not a fire truck. And I'm not a Ninja Turtle, unfortunately. I, a white, blonde male, did not grow up to be a muscular black dude with dreads playing professional soccer. You will need this for the rest of your life. Hey, I factor polynomials on a daily basis. Where do you work? High school math teacher. There's a common misconception that dry ice and elemental iodine do not have a melting point. Elemental iodine will melt at 114 C, but there will be so much purple gas due to high vapor pressure that it's difficult to see. Meanwhile, dry ice won't melt at atmospheric pressure, but if you increase the pressure to NGT 5 atmospheres it should melt into a liquid. NGT, but if you increase the pressure to NGT 5 atmospheres it should melt into a liquid. See, when they told us about sublimation in high school, I thought to myself, nah, there's gotta be a pressure where it's a liquid, they're just glossing over it. A friend of mine had the same thought. We were smart enough to realize this, but not smart enough to realize that a soda bottle is not an appropriate pressure vessel, however convenient it might be. Oops, accidental bottle bomb. Put a crack in the fume hood a good foot long, but we got to see liquid CO2. Hey! An amp, #X200B. If you want to see what it actually looks like, check out AskReddit's video on aerogel, where he uses supercritical CO2 to dry the aerogel. An amp, #X200B. That they're against bullying. All the schools I've been to don't give a if someone is doing it. When I was a teacher I had no idea what to do about bullying with kids. Nobody really taught me formally at college or in professional developments. They were so mean to each other. I'd call the bullies' parents, I'd write them up, I'd call administration, I'd call school police, anything. Nothing ever happened, except security. Police would sometimes drag the more violent of the 2 out. After a while I just had to try to break up issues as they came up by separating the kids. And often, I didn't even know a kid was being bullied because they were good at hiding it. Also because with 34 kids in a classroom it's impossible to see and hear every single thing as a teacher. And sometimes the parents and one-on-ones just straight up didn't do anything or yelled at everyone involved anyway. It was so sad. A little Chinese boy was bullied for his very Chinese name, and I just let him hide under by my desk so he could cry in peace. I couldn't even figure out who made fun of him on the first place. There were 32 second graders in my tiny room. Another boy was made fun of for just being different and a little awkward. I let him stay in my classroom through my pref so he could calm down, and I gave him some candy. Tried calling parents and nobody picked up or numbers were broken. The school systems that just aren't equipped to handle it. Nor do some monsters care sometimes. smaller classroom sizes, more counselors, and sometimes better parents' help. In a classroom of 15 kids, I could handle things better as the adult of the room. It sucks, and I hate seeing bullying just happen with so many kids. By high school, kids are smart enough to not make bullying comments in front of a teacher. So if a kid tells me they are being bullied, it's their word against the bullies. No evidence, the bully denies it up and down. Not much I can do except separate them in my class. You can rely on authority figures to resolve your interpersonal conflicts. Yep. Wait till you get to the real world and they are the cause of the conflicts. 2 things. 1. Keep these papers, they're important, don't lose them. 2. If you ever to get a C or into a fight or cheat, you'll never go to college and you'll be blacklisted from applying or attending any of them. I didn't really think of the impact these things had on me, and suffice to say I feel like I'm worse off for it. That second one definitely had an impact on me. The first time I started getting poor grades in sophomore year of high school, I pretty much figured my life was over, and I started acting like it. Everything just spiraled from there. Abstinence only ed. Meanwhile, there just aren't ed classes anymore. I'm a high schooler and have yet to be taught anything. Here's your lesson. Have fun, use protection, always communicate, focus on pleasing your partner, and don't anyone that doesn't want to be, and when in doubt, ask I before you accept with a C. Or when sounds like a, as in neighbor, and way. Non, weekends, and holidays. Teachers aren't biased. I laughed out loud at this. I definitely have favorite students. Surprise, surprise, it is the ones who try hard and are nice to me. That blood is actually blue. Sorry, what? They taught you that blood is blue? Yeah, when I was in 3rd grade they told me that blood when it's inside your veins are blue, and that it's the interactions with the air when you bleed that turn it red. There are more people alive on Earth than have ever died. Wait, they taught you that at school?